Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:30 p.m. Notice is hereby given that this is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, being held today, Thursday, January 23rd, 2020, at 6:30 p.m. at Sandy Oaks City Hall, located at 4451 Hickory Haven, Sandy Oaks, Texas, 78112, for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. All agenda items are subject to action. Ms. Shelton, can we get a quorum call, please?
Alderman Rapino.
Here.
Alderman Fillinger is absent. Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Yelton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please. Catherine.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Catherine, when you talk, use your microphone. When you talk, use your microphone. Please. Number 3 on the agenda is a presentation. We have some representatives from the Alamo Area Council of Governments, also known as ACOG, to talk about weatherization assistance and homes for Texas Heroes. I'm going to introduce them individually if you would stand, and then y'all can figure out amongst yourselves who's going to speak first. We have Michael Martinez.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Gene Hartman.
Hello.
Miguel Segura. And Claudia Mora. So we'll let you guys speak and explain what the programs are that you have available.
My name is Gene Hartman. I'm operations manager for the ACOG weatherization. And I'm going to just speak a few words. I know you'll have a long agenda. And I know that it's 10:30 comes around awful quick when you're on city council. So I just, the programs I wanted to real briefly speak about was housing for Texas Heroes, which obviously is for the veteran program. There are certain income requirements and eligibility. And then in addition to that, we've got the Amy Young barrier removal grant, which allows us to go in and modify a home for accessibility and things of that sort. I don't want to dwell on those too much because currently our funding is not going to come out until May or June of this year. Mr. Fox, I've shared with him my contact information. We'll be in contact, and I'll let him know when the funding becomes available. So Mr. Fox and I go back to from 1977, so I'm pretty sure we'll be.
I was 12 years old.
I was 8. Yes, I won't dive in too much. But I've got a true expert on staff that in weatherization. He's kind of my brain, Michael Martinez. So I'm going to allow him to kind of talk about the weatherization program. If you have any questions, feel free to give us, let us know. I will. Mr. Fox knows how to get in touch with us if you have any, and feel free to call us or email us or what have you. Okay.
You got cards?
Yes, yeah, I'll give you a card. There you go. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having us out here. One of the programs that we offer also is weatherization, and so it helps. Hey, have my back here. It helps out with energy efficiency, trying to make the home more energy efficient or a mobile home. We go in there and try to identify areas of the home that might have air leaks. Possibly also look at HVAC equipment. Might have to update that. Everything is on a ranking basis. And also, if you qualify as far as the income, we're able to do more for your house. On one of the programs that Gene had just mentioned for Amy Young, that one currently does not work on mobile homes, just to let you all know. But the Housing for Texas Heroes, the Veterans Program, they will work with mobile homes. Just glancing around the area through here, and also I'm a neighbor resident. I live over in Hickory Hollow area. We have a whole bunch of mobile homes, but there are some site-built homes too. Back in weatherization, we can work on rental homes, also apartments if you'll have any, And then also, we could combine together the funds if the client is able to qualify for all of our programs, which helps out the individual better. I left some slides on your, right in front of you, and on there it gives a little bit more detail about our services. Also, we could send out the contact, or there is contact information on here on the last slide for any of your residents in Sandy Oaks to reach out to us so we can get them the applications. Also, I believe there's a market day happening on February 8th.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have some representatives out there to also talk about the program. So if you want to get the word out to your community, if they qualify, it's free help out there, like help them out. Also, you want to keep in mind that, it's not a guaranteed replacement of items. Everything is on an individual basis. We have to look at the house individually compared to what the income is and also what is needed for that. And you'll have any questions?
I've heard income qualification now in both programs. Can you give us an idea what those are?
Yes. So for Amy Young and Housing for Texas Heroes, it depends on the family size. But for instance, for a family of 4 for Amy Young and veterans, the household total combined with everybody that's 18 or older is $56,800. And then also it breaks down by county too. But right now we're Bexar County, so this is just Bexar County numbers.
Madam Mayor, I've got the application back on the back credential.
And it has that on there?
It's got that information on it.
Okay, perfect.
For weatherization, this is for any of the counties, but it's based on family size. So a family of 1, for instance, is $19,140 that the household can make. On the applications that we also do have on the back, it does have these numbers so that you could show it to your residents. Any other questions?
There is another program that I think CPS does, Casa Verde.
Casa Verde, yes.
Yeah. Is this in conjunction with that or separate?
We're 2 separate entities. They are private funds, and we are we're public funds, pretty much.
Okay.
And we do the same thing. We do have different techniques. Since we are federally funded, we are scrutinized to the T. So we're going to go a little bit deep, more in depth than what CPS would. But however, both of our goals is to save energy. And if the home's been weatherized by CPS, we're allowed to come in behind them and vice versa.
Okay.
We already helped out. I know personally, I've been to 4 homes already in this community.
Oh, really?
I've been at this for 10 years now, but I remember probably a year ago, actually, was the last home. It was a mobile home a couple of streets down.
So the Homes for Heroes does qualify for mobile homes or not?
Yes.
It does.
Yes, Housing for Texas Heroes, that one's can be used on mobile homes,
Okay.
but not Amy Young. No. It has to deal with HUD stepping in and then having all the materials certified, and so just the state said no with Amy Young.
The same income requirements.
Same income requirements for Housing for Texas Heroes and Amy Young. We could also get you, or like Gene said, that's on the application too for specifics.
And Catherine, did you get a copy of the application? Let's
No.
get one and let's scan it and put it on the website. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thank
we
you.
will see you on the 8th, or somebody from your organization will be here.
That will be me and our intake worker.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, here, back here.
Oh, I'll grab it. It's over there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll grab it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, have a safe trip.
All right, appreciate it. Take care.
Item 4 on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the City Council from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The City Council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and a sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to the City Council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the City Council that are prohibited by law. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 persons may register on behalf of the group in order for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group spokesperson. We do have a Mr. Santiago Ortiz who has signed up to speak, so I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. Excuse me. My name is Santiago Ortiz. I live here in the community. I got a couple of items, but I wrote them. And I can't read my own writing. So. Anyway, what I would like to see is the marshal's truck to be, hey, I'm the sheriff, you know, so everybody can see it instead of that white car that looks like a speed trap. And I know about speed traps. Station Fort Group, but that's another. But you know, something that I got people in my street that anyway, that are kind of shaky, and I would like to make the police force be noticed. You know, something that's got bells and everything going. You know, hey, I'm the sheriff. There is a sheriff around here, so if you're a criminal or thinking about doing this, doing that, they, you know, right around Lost Hills Drive. Now the streets, we can't put more, just cover the potholes anymore. I mean, I would like to see them paved over and really do something to make the community better. Because you know, it rains, there's a pothole again. Another one that's really close to my heart is because all my grandkids have gone to the elementaries here. We got an animal control officer, we got a sheriff, we got all this good crap, stuff. But what I would like to see is streetlights. You got the elementary kids, the young peoples, standing out in the corners, and some of them are fortunate. We're fortunate. There's a street light there, but there's some blocks around here where it's darker than dark, and you see the mother and the kid out there, and of course we got the people that care a lot, probably the same relatives, going fast as a god. Now, another thing that I would like to see if you guys can consider it, you know, Tiger, is it Tiger? Mm-hmm. Yeah, has so much restrictions on picking up brush. It's got to be 4 length. It's got to be tied up. It can be more than 3 bundles. If we could have one day where the city can bring those big, excuse me again, those big dumpsters, so people could bring the brush, only the brush, because for the rest of the stuff, you know, like the broken furniture and all good, they pick it up. They've been pretty good on picking up the refrigerators and all that. Well, somebody picks up refrigerators, but the brush, the big brush, you know, there's so much restrictions that people are not going to cut it and tie it up. I tried it and it takes too darn long. But I would like to see that at least once every 6 months, you know, not as once every 6 months, if we could get, and we wouldn't see all those piles of dead, you know, all over the place, trees that people cut, and hopefully Tiger will pick them up, and we know Tiger ain't going to pick them up because they're not in conjunction with what they want. Okay. But other than that, thank you.
Thank you. And sir, if you'd like to stick around till after the meeting, we can talk with you about some of the concerns. We can't do that during this time.
Yes, I know protocol.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, City Administrator updates and announcements. We have 2 items here. One is update on sale of Fiesta medals with a proposed limit of amount able to purchase, and then a master plan briefing by City Administrator Lou Fox. On the Fiesta medals, they have arrived. We have a very limited quantity, and a lot of people are wanting Fiesta medals. So want to make sure everyone has an opportunity that would like to purchase them. And I think at our previous meeting, when we first set this up, we decided on $10 for each one. Ms. Shelton, do you have the book here, or is it over
I
there?
have it right here.
Okay. So some people have seen the book that's out and they have already signed up. We're not selling them yet. Basically, we're reserving. And we've talked about it, and we felt that 2 per person would be acceptable. It's gonna narrow, no more than 2 per person.
I don't know that we should put a limit. If you have a family of 4, family of 5, they want 4 medals, 5 medals for the family. We we're restricted to 2. I mean, I just think that, I don't know why we would limit. I mean,
Because we only have so many to
And
distribute.
if we get low, we can always purchase more. It doesn't take long to get them. I
Well,
punch them out pretty quick.
I asked her if that was an option, and part of the challenge is getting them in time for, prior to Fiesta. But it's certainly it's an option. We can always go back and get some more. We probably would need to bring that up in a subsequent meeting and make that decision.
I just think 2 is probably a low number. I would say, maybe go 5.
5?
Sure. I mean, like I say, if you have a family of 5, somebody wants 5 medals, they want them for their kids. I know the kids wear them to school around Fiesta time.
Well, let me ask the other members here. What are your thoughts? And why is his microphone?
I need
When
a
y'all
battery.
keep them, you both have yours on, so.
You're too
Seems
close.
like
that.
It's Lou.
I think most places do first come, first serve. So
Well,
I don't
and
know
so-
about a limit.
Well, and so that's the other side of it is getting the word out that they're available. But then we need to decide when we're actually going to sell them. I mean, if you want to just let them know, and then they can basically reserve one is what they're doing. And then we would release them in March? Or does it matter?
I don't think it matters when you release them. We have them, we could let them go now if they want them. I mean, and that way we know earlier that we would need more. 'Cause what did they give you a time frame on how long it takes them to I know I've seen on television like the company in San Antonio that makes them, and they've got a pretty
Yeah.
heavy crew, and they're punching them out. I mean, I thought it was just like a week or something. Didn't take long to get them.
Well, we ordered them and it took about a month.
Swap with Cassandra.
Swap with Cassandra.
I think it was about a month.
It was about a month.
Why don't we call, give them a call and find out what the turnover is?
No, I did the other day.
Yeah.
Right now we have and my phone is dead, or I would look it up, but we have a window. One of the things is that they did not keep the mold, but they have they do the mold and then they do something else. They have that.
Yeah,
So that part is already in place. We wouldn't have to purchase that piece again.
How many did we purchase?
We purchased 300. And we had agreed at the time, I think, 10% of those, so roughly 30 of them would be, every employee, city council member. I took some to Judge Wolf's meeting yesterday. I gave Judge Wolf and Dwayne Robinson and I forget, what's that? No. What's that guy's name? I don't remember his name now, from Live Oak.
Oh, Scott Wayman.
Scott Wayman, yes. And Mayor Mary Dennis. So,
Well, that accounts for 10% of them right there.
no, it does not.
30. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with David on the part that I believe we need more, but that's just me.
I would agree that we need more as well. So so then we'll just, you want to put a limit of 4
That's
on this
better than
batch?
2, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's just start selling them till they're sold out and we'll see how they're going.
Sure. I
And
think
just continue to get the word out that they are available
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow.
starting tomorrow. Yeah.
What is the actual Fiesta date?
April, I don't know, 12th?
Approximately.
It's sometime around Easter. It's
Yeah.
usually right around Easter.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't hold off selling if they want them next week. They want them tomorrow, let them have them.
Okay.
We did though, we just know what the turnout's gonna be. We can gauge it better than if we wait.
Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll bring it back on the next agenda. Would you make a note? And put it on there to approve an additional purchase,
If required.
if required, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I agree.
okay. So that's the update on the Fiesta medals. Lou, I'll let you talk about the master plan.
Yes, just a quick update. I spoke with Tony Sosera with the Mendez Engineering Group, and they're working on the master plan, and I asked him to give me an update. And what they're looking at basically is, if you've seen it online, there's a questionnaire that's come out about what are some of our citizens' priorities and inputs, and so that's,
There's been a mail out.
yes. And there's a mail out, and there are some issues with that that I'll deal with.
Seems late.
But what we're going to try to do is get that draft together ASAP after we get citizen input. And then one other thing I mentioned to him was to consider what I would call a town center, and that's that area as you come into our entrance off of 37, right in here.
All of this, that's
To look-
currently commercial.
To look at the potential for creating a higher visible entrance to our community so we can promote commercial development, restaurants. And obviously, one of the downsizes here is our septic system. We don't have the sanitary sewer connection. And I have made some calls to SAWS about seeing what it might take to bring a sanitary sewer system here, and it would be a while. So anyway, I'll keep you informed on that as we go.
It may not be that long, and I know that Lou and I talked about it. Really, the sewer system would be more geared towards the commercial and not
Yes.
not a mandate for
Right.
residents, right?
Yeah. And there's a,
And it's just because of the accessibility where they would be running the lines, it's very easy for access there.
Sure.
right, and they could run down the state right away to, they have a station down just inside of 1604, so it's only about 3 or 4 miles down the road.
Yeah, they got enough for their money.
Yeah. Okay,
Shouldn't be a problem.
I'm sorry.
Question regarding the master plan.
yes.
Again, the survey went out. They did mail out the survey. Is the survey going to every residence?
Yes.
Yes.
And it is on the website.
Because, well, my daughter lives next door to me. She didn't get one.
Okay, so with that being said, I'd like to ask the people that are in attendance, has everyone received a survey? Could you show of hands? You did or did
No,
not?
I did not.
You did not. Who did? Did you receive more than one copy? You're just lucky, John.
And it's coming in English and Spanish. You're getting both
Exactly.
versions. So,
Do we have any copies here? Could you print some out?
so did we provide the list, or are they just going off of?
Yes, I gave him
You gave
the
him a
list,
list.
yes, based on the most recent newsletter that was sent out back in November.
Okay.
So everybody that, again, those lists are created based
So
on
if
if
you
they
did
have
not get the
CPS.
survey, are you getting the newsletters?
No.
I'm getting the newsletter.
So
Okay.
there's a disconnect there, because my daughter, she gets the newsletter too. She did not get the survey.
The extra one that John brought in, take it out of the envelope, go ahead and give it to Mr. Ortiz, then you can have one.
Anyone else?
We don't get the newsletter.
We don't
so
get the
We've been here
newsletter.
a year and a half.
You've been here a year and a half.
Did they send one out recently?
If you have anything to write on, if you want to give us your name and address, we'll
I know,
update our list.
I didn't
No,
get it
I
either.
know that you're on the list.
We have received one.
Okay, I will go back and verify.
Have you seen Debbie on the list?
Me neither.
What? In November?
And you have electricity?
That's a long time ago.
Oh, you mean
In November, newsletter in November,
newsletter was given.
Oh, okay.
not a recent one.
Have you seen
Saying there
Debbie's
was a
neighbor?
recent one, I didn't
Martinez?
get it.
I don't have names, I just have
Oh,
addresses.
okay.
And just one other thing about the survey, there's a lot of chatter on social media.
Yeah.
People asking other people, did you get this? Did I, or what are we supposed to do with this? It's real important. It's citizen input that's going to develop our 5-year, 6-year, 10-year plan down the road. So we're looking to get citizen input. So don't tell your neighbors, your friends, they get one, they question you about it. Even if you're on social media, should you see someone saying or questioning about what the engineer, who's Mendez or whatever, it's important that they fill it out and send it back. Got a stamp on the envelope, put it in the mailbox, and put your flag up and be heard. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Fox?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Item 6 is the consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We have 3 items. Approve the minutes from the January 9th regular City Council meeting. Approve the November 2019 City Attorney invoice number 1232 from Casan and Ortiz not to exceed $1,800. And approve the December 2019 City Attorney invoice number 1236 from Casan and Ortiz not to exceed $1,695.
I move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Walker to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 7, under administration. Discuss and/or possible action on approving an extension to the existing contract with M&S Engineering. From our last meeting, the contract for M&S is set to expire February of 2020, and we determined at that time that it was not a requirement that we had to seek another engineering firm, and the agreement was that we would do the extension. So this is the agreement to extend the agreement between the Sandy Oaks and M&S for, this is the task order edition. And so, do we have the effective date? Catherine, do we have the effective date for this first paragraph?
It
Would it be
expired.
today?
The date,
Or the date that-
the existing contract expires.
Okay, I'll fill it in when, I wasn't sure, so that's the original agreement date, I'll fill it in.
Yes, okay.
It's February,
So I guess the following
It's somewhere
day.
in February.
February 21st or,
okay, I was thinking 6th, but yeah, I'll fill it in.
Okay. And so we're going to provide a term of 2 years. Oh, it says February 6th. Oh, wait.
So that's the
This
date
says
that
February
the-
8th, 2016, or 2018.
That's the date that the agreement was entered into initially.
February 6th.
Right.
so then it would expire February 6th.
February 6th of 2020. Got it. All right.
I just didn't know if y'all want a different effective date today or earlier before February 6th.
Okay. The first line is we're addressing the original agreement that we entered into, so that date needs to be the date that we entered into the initial agreement, which was in 2018,
Yes.
not 2020, that's the original,
We need the original agreement date.
right,
Yeah.
it was in 2018. So, I mean, that's fine, you can fill that date in if you don't have it in front of you.
So we're gonna use the 6th?
No, that, on the first line there, where it says, whereas the City of Sandy Oaks and MS Engineering entered into an agreement for professional services with an effective date of, that's the original agreement.
Yeah, yeah,
The next whereas though
The next
also.
whereas will be
yeah.
the
2023.
agreement now, yes.
Yeah.
No, it says the original agreement provided for a term of 2 years beginning on February 6th, 2018. It's talking about the original agreement.
Right.
Cool.
So where it
So-
says therefore,
Right.
that'll be the new
Well,
date.
exact, that's the new date. So we did 2 years on the first one. Did we want to perhaps do 2 years again?
Can we do just one?
February 6th.
We can do just one.
You can do one. I think section 2 of the ordinance has where the option to extend also, whereas the original agreement really didn't have an option to extend. It just said the terms could be changed by written agreement of the parties.
I think annually is probably a better option rather
I
than extending
think
out
so-
2
I
years.
think so,
Annually
too.
means closest to a year.
Well, and my thought on the 2-year was, we have other projects that they've done the work for, the Hilltop Peaks in Loman.
Mhm.
That's still an open project that I'm hoping to put into next year's budget. Because
So we kinda need 2 years
we-
to complete them, huh?
that's what I'm thinking, because we have the road bond, they're
Yeah.
gonna be involved in that.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a long,
Yeah.
more than a year.
oh, yeah.
And plus, working off the work that they've already prepared for us, or we're back to square one and another engineering firm would have to come in and redo
Yeah,
all
we
that
did
work.
ask ACOG to look into any grants
Oh,
that may be
yes,
available
we've had-
for streets and roads.
We've had conversations about
Yeah,
that.
okay.
So we're gonna stay with the 2 and let them complete, and then we'll review at a further date
Yeah,
about their performance, more or less, is what I'm getting at.
so we'll do it till February 6th of 2022.
Okay.
Okay?
Did you have that original date? Did you have it?
February 6th.
216.
February 6th.
Of 2018?
Of 2018, yeah.
All right, move to approve the agreement, to extend the agreement between Sandy Oaks and M&S Engineering for professional services task order edition with the dates of February 6, 2018 as the date for the effective date of the original agreement, and February 6, 2022 for the date for the extended date.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Yelton to approve the agreement to extend the agreement with M&S Engineering to run through February 6th of 2022. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 7B, discuss and or possible action on response to M&S Engineering's recommendation of award for the Lost Hills Low Water Crossing Project. So at our last meeting, we talked about the bid process, and we had the bid opening here. M&S they ran with all that, took all the bids back, reviewed them again one more time, checked their references, and did determine that the lowest bid that was presented was indeed qualified. So, it says, as indicated by the attached bid log, the apparent low bidder was Ace Company with a bid of $134,806.20. And so, we did reach out to Ace to see if they would like to be here at the meeting tonight, but I don't know that we weren't able to make contact with them.
I just left a voice message.
Okay. Okay. So if the council is in agreement, then we can have a motion to, I just want to read this last paragraph. I knew I had seen this. Based on a review of the company and the bid, all indications are that Ace Company is a reputable construction company. Based upon our reference checks of a working history on similar projects of this type, past performance, as well as the adequacy of the submitted bid, M&S Engineering recommends the contract for this work be awarded to Ace Company following the terms and conditions of the bid and the contract documents. And I mean, I'm happy that it was a low bid.
Yeah.
Because the high bid was a lot more than that.
Yeah, and we had
Every other bid
allocated,
is 60 grand more.
yeah, didn't we allocate like 220 or something like that?
220, well, and that includes the actual work and the engineering that
Yeah.
goes with that. So yeah, we will come in under budget on that, which is good. We can use that.
What's the engineering?
The design work?
Yeah,
They did,
but I mean, how much is it gonna be?
I I don't have the financial documents with me. I want to say, Lou, do you recall this about?
I don't.
I think it was 20,000 or less.
Okay, so we're in at 155 basically.
Yeah, I mean, we will definitely come in under budget on this.
Great. That's what we need.
And do you have the contract?
This is all I've done.
Okay. No, I meant, did Jared send you anything? Okay. Does anyone have any other questions or concerns on the bid?
When can they start the project? Does anybody have any idea?
It's going to be contingent upon the weather, so once the council has agreed to this, then we'll contact them and get that scheduled and find out what their timeframes are.
Yeah, I know the citizens are pretty, always asking me, and I'm like, I don't know.
Later.
All right, so you need a motion.
I do.
Move to accept the M&S Engineering recommendations for the award for the Lost Hills Low Water Crossing Project.
Okay, Cassandra, I do have a question on that. Do we need to identify in the motion who will execute the contract?
Yes. And who the bid is going to.
Yeah, and who it's
or
going to.
The award.
All right.
So, do that again.
Move to accept M&S Engineering's recommendations for the award for Lost Hills Low Water Crossing Project and authorize the city administrator
ACE.
to
The company.
negotiate a contract with ACE
There you go.
Company
And execute the contract?
and execute the contract as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Lou's real good about monitoring the change orders. So we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to accept the recommendation from M&S Engineering for the work to be performed by ACE Company and authorizing the city administrator, Mr. Fox, to execute the contract. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 7C, discuss and or possible action on approving an interlocal agreement with Bear County Fire Marshal. So the last meeting, we did not have all of the blanks filled in, but this time we do. And just because we potentially can approve this agreement, it's not effective until it goes back before Commissioners Court. And I don't know when that would be exactly, but we have to get it to them and then it goes through their whole process. So has everyone had an opportunity to kind of look at this and see what the things are that they're going to be performing for us?
What is the cost effectiveness on this?
There is no cost.
No cost? Okay.
Any permit fees or inspection fees that are referenced they go directly to the property owner. So there's no city fees involved here.
And Mayor, I did speak with Nelson about it, and I don't think there'll be an issue.
Okay, good, thank you.
What blanks were there to fill in? I didn't see.
We had not determined all of the services that we wanted at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So now we do. What this is what we're looking for.
Oh,
So you need a motion?
I do.
I move that we accept the interlocal fire prevention and inspection service agreement with the County of Bear and the State of Texas with the City of Sandy Oaks.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to approve the interlocal agreement with the Bear County Fire Marshal. Do we have a second?
I second.
Alderman Walker seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 7D, discuss and possible action on proposal received from BB Inspection Services LLC. That has my name on it, but actually, I'm gonna hand that over to Lou. He's the one that's been working on that one.
Has everyone had a chance to review the copy of the proposal that was presented by B&B?
I'm hearing yeses down here.
I did contact numerous references on their behalf, and all of the responses were positive, that these people did a good job, they were timely. I looked at the cost issues here, and they're relatively inexpensive, but what it does is allows us to make sure that all the buildings that are constructed in our community meet all the codes and are safe. And that's one of the things I think that's very important from a neighborhood development perspective, but also from a safety perspective throughout, both for not just the homeowners, but others around in the neighborhood.
And Lou, I know that one of the issues that we need immediate assistance with are some of the uninhabitable buildings.
Yes.
And so, I mean, they're aware that we're going to start with that, because we don't necessarily have the permitting process in place for all the building codes and stuff.
That's correct. And so we'll work with them to come up with those standards. And in line with this, I've spoken with several other communities and managers about their code enforcement efforts. And that's something that we really have to work on here, because working with the marshal and several other of our staff members and visiting with members of the council, Mayor, we do have issues that we have to address. And it's going to take some time, but as you were saying, sort of that with all the debris and things that are out there, it's going to take an effort. And so I'm working on that process also. But people who want to build a unit or come in and improve their property with a building or a mobile unit, a modular unit, they have to come in and get a building permit, and they have to meet the codes.
So since they also do fire inspection, that kind of overlaps with what Bear County does.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing here.
Right, well, and my question is, if we have an interlocal agreement with Bear County Fire Marshal, do we have an option to utilize both of these?
We can work through that.
Isn't the Bear County Fire Marshal would primarily do inspections during the construction phase? Once the
Correct.
buildings are completed, if there's code violations, then it falls on our building inspector.
Okay,
The fire department's not going to come out and inspect a
All the dwellings and
constructed
stuff like that,
building.
yeah.
Right.
The fire marshal or the fire inspector
Yeah.
under the Bear County Fire Department primarily is during the construction.
well, and the fire plan review typically has only applied to our commercial enterprises out here.
That's correct.
And that's why I was asking, because if the fees, there's a difference in the fee structure between what Bear County is going to charge them and what BB Inspection is going to charge.
Right,
Would
but-
they have an option?
In the fee schedule for the interlocal agreement with the Bear County Fire, it does list as, if you look at the fees, they're commercial, they reflect commercial buildings. I don't see residential
Right.
No.
is not
No, we
listed
didn't- we
anywhere
didn't
in
do
there,
that
so
with
they're
that.
not going to come out and inspect homesteads. They're looking primarily at commercial buildings. So if we got somebody who wants to come in and build a little store or another restaurant, then they fall under the Bear County Fire Marshal.
Yeah.
It just says, Damon went through all his stuff, as did J&S. They did come out and inspect them, but I think it was more of a courtesy.
And they also come out to, if there are complaints about concerns of a fire hazard in a building, they'll come out and inspect it.
Okay.
So that was a question I had within the, so we're going to use this proposal from BNB to actually enter into some type of a contract with them to take them on board as contract work.
Building inspector.
Within that, are we looking also at code compliance? Because we look at this as, it actually falls, some of it falls under code, but overall code compliance, are we looking at that
Yes.
as well?
Absolutely, yes.
And so within that structure for code compliance, it falls outside the realm of buildings, whether it be just a vacant lot that's overgrown, that's not in compliance.
Well, you have to look at
where-
what their certifications are. So they have, a plumbing inspector, they have state plumbing inspector, or they have medical gas, residential fire sprinkler, a professional inspector through Texas Real Estate Commission, wastewater treatment certified, home buyers warranty corporate. I mean, they have a lot of certifications in here. This really is geared more towards,
Building, it's not code
But under
compliant.
realtor,
Exactly.
under realtor inspections, I'm sure they have something in there falls that within lots that don't have a home on it. If there's a realtor involved in the sale and they do some type of inspection. The question is whether or not we're going to incorporate code inspections within the B&B contract. And if we do, then there will be some fees that are a burden on the city if we have them out here doing code compliance.
but the fees
don't-
should go back to the property owner.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have to pay the bill ahead, but the fees go back to the property owner.
They don't do code compliance inspections. We're gonna have to contract with another
Okay,
organization.
I
to do
have
that.
some ideas on that, but we can discuss that later. It was just questions I had
Right.
regarding B&B and what we're going to have them do. So it's primarily residents
Okay.
Yes, residential,
as it deals with buildings. Okay.
yes.
So what you're saying is that B&B would help us with the structures and the abandoned structures and
Yes.
things that are stored to all the community?
So, if you recall, we have I forget what the official term is, the Substandard Buildings Commission, which is
Exactly.
basically the city council members make up that particular group. And so, if you read through the procedures, step one basically is it has to be inspected to be deemed
Livable.
exactly. So we couldn't get off the mark
Yeah.
until
At
we
this point, we
until we
didn't
did
have any
this.
nails that we couldn't grab into
Exactly.
addressing substandard
Yeah,
housing
exactly.
because we had no way to do
Yeah.
legally to do the inspections
Yeah,
to
because you have no
declare them
guidance forward, yeah.
substandard.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now we do.
And we will
That was
with this one. Yeah,
So you need a motion.
we do.
I move that we accept the proposal from B&B Inspection Services to provide building plan reviews and inspection services for the city of Sandy Oaks.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to approve the proposal from BB Inspection Services LLC. And we would authorize, you want to authorize Lou to?
Yeah, and and I move that we authorize Lou Fox to negotiate the contract.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to accept the proposal received from BB Inspection Services LLC and authorize City Administrator Lou Fox to execute any agreement. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second from Alderman Tremblay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Lou, you'll get in touch with them and work through whatever we need.
From them all.
Okay. Item 7E, discuss our possible action on an ordinance amending the master fee schedule and repealing all prior ordinances. Okay, so we have two things on this particular one. Number one, this particular ordinance is just an annual renewal to maintain the master fee schedule. And number two, this particular one technically could fall under the second reading ordinance that we put in place unless the council opts to waive that.
So this is just a renewal, and there's no changes, no increases in fees.
Well, we originally authorized the city clerk to maintain it, so she has the ability to add to it throughout the year. This is just an annual
There's no
approval.
changes to
There's
the
no
license.
changes.
And it
So I
says that in
move
here.
that we waive the 2 reading requirement.
Okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Tremblay to waive the 2 reading. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Alderman Rapino seconds. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that portion carries, that motion carries. So back
And-
to the
yeah,
ordinance.
And I'll move to approve the ordinance amending the master fee schedule for assessing fees and providing for annual review.
Okay.
Authorizing the city clerk to maintain the master fee schedule and make adjustments as necessary. In the interim, repealing and any conflicting ordinances, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
I'll second.
Okay. So Alderman Tremblay has motioned to approve ordinance 2020-156 as presented, and Alderman Rapino has seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 7F, discuss and/or possible action on an ordinance creating an animal shelter advisory committee. This was brought by Alderman Walker and Alderman Tremblay, and just want to let you know that this one would not be under the second reading requirement due to health and safety. So I'll turn it over to either one of you.
No, it's a state law requirement.
Oh, because it's state law required.
I'll let you do this.
This is ordinance 2020-157 suggested. According to the state law, we must have an animal shelter advisory committee with very specific members involved. And basically, it just says that it is in keeping with the Texas Health and Safety Code, Chapter 823. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, creating an animal shelter advisory committee and related matters thereof. Thereto. The important part of this is the membership. The City Council shall appoint members of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. The committee shall consist of 1 licensed veterinarian, 1 alderman, 1 person whose duties include the daily operation of an animal shelter, and 1 representative from an animal welfare organization. The City Council may additionally appoint any other person it deems necessary for the effectiveness of the committee. It shall not be necessary that the licensed veterinarian, the representative who operates an animal shelter, or the representative of the animal welfare organization reside within the city limits. Several points to this. We have 2 veterinarians, licensed veterinarians. I have not received a willingness to be involved from either one yet. Doesn't mean it won't happen, we don't have that yet.
Is it a requirement that we have only 1, or can we have 2?
It is a requirement that you have at least 1.
At least 1, okay.
And they are the ones that do the annual inspection of the shelter.
Right.
So, I cannot make a recommendation. I'm looking at Dr. Bowman from China Grove, who has shown an interest in animal control?
Now, the ordinance is not requiring us to present any names,
Not yet.
so we can approve the ordinance as presented.
Create the,
Create the advisory.
and then discuss appointments
Okay.
at another meeting.
How
Good.
long is the term?
I was thinking a term of 2 years. Unless anybody has any,
I think 2 years is adequate, you know?
and the term begins on February 1st of even number years. That is under section 4.
Is there a requirement that the facility be functional?
No.
Okay.
The facility needs to have the advisory board when it opens.
Perfect, okay.
It's probably a good idea to have it in place
That's
before
what
it
I'm thinking.
opens.
Before it opens, so
Yeah,
it can be
address
all
inspected.
guidelines are-
Yes,
They're
any
gonna need to do
concerns
the
are,
initial inspection.
Right.
Right. I think you have 30 days for the initial inspection, but I'm not positive on that, and it's better to have everything in place. Is there any discussion on when the term begins? Is February 1st, 2020?
no, I mean, that's fine, but I would suggest that we possibly, that we put on the website that we need some citizens to fill these vacancies. Possibly we can get it moving in.
I actually have
Some people in mind.
several recommendations of
Okay, great.
individuals from the community to be involved.
Good.
And I did discover in talking to the city attorney that the one person whose duties include the daily operation of an animal shelter could be our animal control officer. And most likely would be the best recommendation.
Yeah, and we'll have 2, so.
We
We have to approve the members according to this.
Yeah.
What are you going to the citizens for? Is
Well, we
the
won't.
advisory?
If you're
We
gonna,
won't.
talk-
We're saying they already have people in mind, so.
I thought it was just a veterinarian, a councilman, Chris.
Those are the
And-
individuals that have to be on the committee. You can have outside citizens
Oh, you
involved.
can have others. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it
and I was
was just
thinking
those
that it
four.
would be
Probably
helpful in
better.
this
Well-
situation
I
to have a
see.
couple of citizens involved.
Yeah, it's probably best.
Yeah, sure.
because it does say here, the city council may additionally appoint any other person it deems necessary for the effectiveness of the committee. Did you have an idea of how many committee members, in addition to the ones that are identified here, how many more you would want?
I was thinking perhaps 2 or 3 from the city citizens. That would make
And so it would be
council,
best to have an odd number
that would make,
on the committee.
Probably just for voting.
For voting.
For voting,
So,
right.
but-
so 3.
So you have a vet, an alderman, animal control,
That's three.
someone from animal welfare organizations. So 1 more or 3 more?
I'd say 3 more.
3 more?
Yeah.
Does that need to be identified in here? Or we will do that in a separate when we do the appointments?
The ordinance says it's written leaves it open, but if the council wants to specify a specific number, then
I mean, we can amend it here.
If I could just ask a question, and you may just open up the number of applicants or what have you. Seeing it, we have an animal control advisory committee. Wouldn't the duties overlap?
They're separate.
Separate?
Very separate. This is the actual meeting of the Texas codes
The state
for the
code.
shelter, the Texas state code for the shelter.
Okay.
The Animal Control Advisory Committee is tasked with providing for the general duties and providing for effective dates of necessary items, recommendations to the council. It's rather morphed into assisting with the rescues, the citizen education, the community education, the microchipping clinics, the bringing in low-cost clinics. the city.
Okay, that was just a question. I thought maybe
They'll,
Maybe it overlaps.
they'll probably work hand in hand,
Yeah.
but they are two separate functions.
So I would think that we just fill in the 2 blanks here, because the way it's worded, it said as deems necessary.
Right.
And when we get to the appointment side of that, we could address it then. Just knowing that odd number is probably a better,
Right.
It may become an issue if 3 citizens are appointed and there's a vacancy, whether the council wants to fill that vacancy or just limit the membership to 5 members after that. That could be a possible issue in the future, but I think the ordinance could be amended to address that when
Right.
the time comes.
when the time comes in.
So we're altering the blank in section 3 membership to 2 years?
Actually, that's just, the blank is for the chair, the term
The
is in
chair.
section 4 for 2 years. The chair could serve for 1 year or 2 years possibly, and then section 4 already contains the 2-year period of the members. If that's what he
Right,
wants to do, is 2 years.
right. So the term of the chair is 2 years acceptable to everybody?
Sure.
And under section 4 terms begin on, I was thinking February 1st, 2020 of even years.
Even?
Is that acceptable?
Is there any other discussion on this item? Then would someone like to make a motion?
I move that we accept ordinance number 2020-157, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, creating an animal shelter advisory committee.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion by Alderman Walker and a second by Alderman Rapino to approve ordinance 2020-157 as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item 7G, discuss and or possible action on, and there's a typo on here. This should read Resolution 2020-112, not 113. Discuss and or possible action on Resolution 2020-112, approving an investment policy pursuant to the Public Funds Investment Act. And this is also one of the annual renewals that we're doing. There's no changes.
There's no change in the
And it's just a
investment policy.
resolution.
It's just a resolution. So no changes to the Investment Act. We're not
No.
going to change anything, okay? So I'll entertain a motion on that one.
I move to accept Resolution 2020-112, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, approving an investment policy delegating responsibility and authority and for providing an effective date.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-112 as presented. Do we have a second?
I second.
Alderman Walker on the seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to item 7H. Discuss and or possible action on scheduling the date, time, and place for a town hall meeting for public comments on the use of fireworks within the city limits. Ms. Shelton, were you able to identify some potential dates that we might consider?
Probably best in February, since we have quite a bit left for the rest of this month. It could be the first week of February, 3rd through the 7th. Except for Tuesday, which is a park meeting.
So the 3rd, the 5th, 6th, and 7th? Any of them? Do we want to do it during the week or do we want to do it on a weekend?
Well, you got,
And do we want to do one or we want to do two or more?
I think we should schedule one, see how the first one goes, to see if we need a second meeting. And the weekends are funny because so many people travel
Right,
and then,
but then it's also school and,
yeah, and
Yeah,
then you
trying to
got,
do it.
and the rodeo and,
true,
Well, there's always gonna be,
there's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
there's always
there's always
something.
gonna be an issue.
Right,
So we do the first one to see if the second one's even necessary. I would think, you know.
so the 6th is a Thursday, is that correct?
It is.
Okay. And we don't have a council meeting or anything going on that day?
That's the first Thursday of the month.
Okay, then I would suggest that we schedule a town hall meeting then for Thursday, February 6th at 6:30 here in the building, and let's see what kind of turnout we get for that. And as Alderman Hilton said, figure out if we need another one.
Sure. That,
Would 6 o'clock be too early?
It might be.
It might
Might
be
be
for
for some.
families,
Okay.
yeah, that's why we do the 6:30, it gives people a little bit of room. Is everyone okay with that date? Do we need a motion on that?
Motion.
We do need a motion.
Or authority for you to set. Either one.
I move that we set the time and date for the town hall on use of fireworks within the city limits for 6:30 on the 6th of February 2020. That's a Thursday.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to schedule a town hall meeting for public comments on use of fireworks within the city limits for Thursday, February 6th at 6:30 PM, and that would be here in the building. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Alderman Tremblay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Catherine, would you get a notice posted on the website, please? Item 7I, discuss and or possible action on an annual merit increase for Animal Control Officer Chris Maldonado and City Secretary Catherine Yelton. When I built the budget for this fiscal year, I did include a 3% raise for both of those positions. So I would not expect to exceed the 3%, and it's up to the council if you want to entertain that, you know, any number up to that amount. And it would just be for Chris and for Catherine. And the expectation is that, you know, every year we kind of relook at that, and that 3% actually came from the CPI that was in place. It just, that's the way it works. You kind of look at what the cost of living and the consumer price index is, and you set your rates accordingly. And the budget did include it not only for their salary, but for the taxes and all the other pieces that fit into that. It was all calculated into that.
That's actually what I was looking at was a CPI and what we had available in the budget next
Yeah.
day. In fact, we had budgeted that amount.
Right. Is there any discussion on rate merit increases for these two? Then I will entertain a motion.
We move the
I-
3%.
Oh, wait.
I would suggest two separate motions, one for
One for Chris, one for-
and then one
got
for
it.
Catherine.
Okay, so we'll have two separate motions.
Move to approve a 3% merit increase for Animal Control Officer, Mr. Chris Maldonado.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to authorize a 3% increase for the Animal Control Officer, Chris Maldonado. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Rapino has seconded the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. On the next item,
I would ask,
Catherine.
yeah, I was going to ask
Okay, so
Alderman
on the next
Yelton
motion,
would abstain.
yes, he will abstain from voting on the next one.
Okay, I'll move that we give the city secretary, Catherine Yelton, a 3% annual raise for 2020.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to authorize a 3% increase for the city secretary, Catherine Yelton. Alderman Yelton will abstain from voting on this one. We'll take a second.
Second.
Alderman Tremblay seconds. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Do we need to set an effective date on these?
I was just thinking it was now, or next paycheck.
Yes, that's what I was thinking was the next pay cycle.
Unless you did, okay.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to item 8, the marshal. Is he still here?
Yep.
You think he would leave?
He's awfully quiet. Item 8A, discuss and or possible action on adopting a Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Policy and Procedures Manual. We did have a policy manual that was put together by Mr. Gutierrez a few years back. And although it was adequate at its time, there were some things that were not included, and Marshal Lopez has spent a great amount of time putting together this massive book here. If you just kind of like to go over maybe the highlights of what's in there, maybe what changed or what the purpose of the policy manual would be, then you can educate us all.
Okay. Obviously, for with every organization, obviously, as you can tell, I didn't feel moving forward the adequate of that manual versus the manual that here. The reason that is because the device with this agency covers critical situations, professional and ethical and conduct, along with standard operating procedures. It covers a broad perspective of how we conduct business, how we treat individuals, from arresting people to personal appearance, and everything like that. It just sets the tone for the department as well. Like I said, anything that may arise in field operations, from alarm responses to domestic violence, along with crime prevention, ride-alongs, body cameras, investigations to communications to training to vehicle operations, jail holdings, and weapons and things like that. It gives an outline of what the department should be operating by and the conduct as well. I think it's very important to have these policies and procedures manual for the department, for the expectations for the department, and a guideline on of how we should operate. Obviously, the high standards that I have for myself and building this department and getting the best officers for this department to meet that expectations and stay at those expectations as well.
And I think you also included, and you're calling it FTO, which is field training. Is that what that is?
Yes, that's going to be on the policy. This is obviously as we continue to move forward and building officers, and with this agency, they have to have a field training. I would be training them, and as they continue, the officer that I've trained, then they train officers as well. A guidance is a kind of a guidance to where they're at in their training as well. So that needs to be implemented as well as a department. Any agency that you go with, from San Antonio to Live Oak to Garden Ridge to Somerset, they all have policies and procedures, and it's very important to have those guidelines that I set forth for each department.
Thank you, Marshall.
You're welcome.
If anybody wants to take one home and read it, I think he would.
That's all I have, literally one.
Oh, no, I think we have another copy. Yeah, do we? And it is electronic. Catherine has electronically if you want. It's like 35 meg.
All 72 chapters.
Yeah.
It covers a lot of things, and it's at most important for the agency when it comes to transparency and liability and things like that.
And this would be available for any of the council members to come in and take a look at if they so desired, okay? Okay, are there any questions for the marshal on the policy manual?
Catherine or the marshal, Was the other policy manual adopted by resolution or ordinance? I didn't think
I
it
couldn't
was.
find anything
Okay, I
regarding
didn't,
that.
I didn't find anything either. I just
But I
wanted
did
to
go ahead and I put in
make sure we,
a blurb that, well, actually, it's not on this particular one, but it basically states that this would repeal and replace all previous policies.
So we don't need an ordinance or resolution, we're just approving, adopting the
no,
policy.
if there was one previously, we would need to approve one to repeal the
Right,
prior
and
one.
I don't
but
think we had
there
an,
was one.
yeah,
I couldn't find one.
okay.
So I move that we accept the Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Policy and Procedure Manual.
Okay. Alderman Rapino has proposed adopting the Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Policy and Procedure Manual. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Walker seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And thank you, Marshall, for all your work in getting that done. I know that was a lot of work. Okay, on to item, I jumped ahead when I mentioned it. Item 8B, discuss and or possible action on adopting the Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Field Training Policy. So I'll let you talk about that one, or are we done with that
I think
one?
you
Yeah.
did.
Okay, so then all I need is a motion and a second, please.
Well, I'll move then that we accept the Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Field Training Policy.
Okay. I have a motion by Alderman Rapino to adopt the Sandy Oaks Marshal's Office Field Training Policy. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Yelton seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, item 8C, discuss and a possible action on the purchase of a body camera. So the Marshal and I have talked about this for a little over a month. I think we've been bantering back and forth on this one. I fully support this. I had questions for him more around how you implement that. What additional underlying factors would apply, such as do we need additional servers? How long do we have to maintain the data that he captures? Who's going to store it? You know, where is it going to be stored? Those type of things. So he's come up with all the answers to all of that. And I don't know what's all over. What'd you have for lunch?
You've had that for a while.
Oh,
It was in your car.
but none other page has it.
Oh,
So the cost of the body camera itself is $1,535, and that's each unit, correct?
That's just for one camera.
Okay. And then that's your different thing.
and I just noticed on here, it's got an expiration date of January 13. So I'm not aware of what it,
Yeah, because
An
the quote
updated
you
price.
have on here is dated December 11th, and it expired January 13th.
so hopefully it's the same price
Yeah.
or less.
Yeah, usually 30
think
days.
so.
So.
Just tell them we're gonna buy it.
Yeah, we would need an updated quote just to make sure.
Yeah.
We could probably set a not to exceed number on this, and my thought was that we go ahead and purchase two for a couple reasons. One, possible redundancy, and we are actively seeking a deputy to work in the department, so then we would have that available.
So can you explain the breakdown here? And
I'll let-
like you were talking about storage and length of time that you are required to.
I'll let the marshal address that.
On the storage, obviously I would be the only one that have access to that. And so depending on the circumstances of the nature or whatever they may be, if it's a felony or misdemeanor, obviously those will be kept permanently, saved in, and I purchased more data to hold as well. Depending, usually we keep the data for 90 days, depending on if it's just traffic stops or anything that that's not a felony. or misdemeanor or anything like that. That can be deleted in 90 days. It's kept up to 90 days. After that, then it's deleted.
So you keep this on the existing server?
No, it's not
Are you
being
putting this
saved.
on an external hard drive?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like I said, after 90 days, anything that's not a potential Class A or any type of felony, it's kept. Anything from a residential, to a traffic stop or any interaction that has no value into it, it automatically gets deleted after 90 days.
And how we can back up the data from the hard drive?
The hard drive, when I download it from the in-car or the camera itself, they're automatically just removed from the hard server and sent to the main.
I think the question goes to redundancy. You need it in one place, we probably need it 2 separate places.
Right, in the event the hard drive is wiped for whatever
Exactly.
reason, that's
Yes.
backup.
Yeah, and
So that's what I'm saying.
those external hard drives are not expensive at all.
Right, so we're not using our current
The
server.
servers, no,
And
No.
no.
there wouldn't be enough space?
Well, it's a
Security issue?
security
Yes.
issue, yes.
I'm the only one that has access to that, to it, so, nobody, not even the servers.
So like
wouldn't-
evidence, what's the word these, custodial?
Yes.
Chain of custody.
Chain of custody,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's what my question was, how are we gonna do this? You put it on the hard drive, and then you put it on another hard drive?
Yes.
Put it on-
Yeah. It's just in case, obviously, when something happens, an act of God, but other than that.
Power failure.
Power failure.
I mean,
I do have a battery backup as well that's connected to my computer, so if anything, the event, the storm goes out or whatever, it's there.
And I would just suggest that one be kept off-site.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
you
Yeah,
don't want them both
exactly.
in the same place, so we can figure out where that's gonna be.
Yeah, on that software, software and licensing, are you getting so you'll get a license with each camera, or do you purchase the software and get a share license?
Almost has to be.
I believe on this, I have to get a little bit of information on the software licensing that's coming with it, so.
Because if you're the only one that's downloading it, you don't really need the software and license, you just need an additional camera.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be the 1,500, it would be less than that.
Well, yeah, he'll get us new quotes,
Okay, so look at it that way, so you,
yeah.
Once
that would-
I think once it's been paid for, it doesn't make. I don't think it makes sense to. Why would we would be paying for something else that we already have the licensing and for that?
understand, right, that's what I'm saying, we wouldn't purchase, we're buying 2, so we don't need 2
Yes.
of the
Just
library, so it's
do it just
$380
Yes.
that we could take off the second quote.
Yes.
Well, I would recommend for this exercise, for the not to exceed number, to not reduce it by that.
Just go with the total, but
And
only
maybe-
purchase one
Yes,
software
exactly.
and licensing.
Unless it requires the 2, but I don't see why it would.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're just getting one, or do you want?
we're gonna go ahead and do 2 for redundancy for right now, but also, like I said, we are actively
One other question, I'm sorry.
looking.
See, you have the mount, so that's like a vest or something?
You can place it on your soft uniform, attach it to where, or on your lapel. Just depends where you're able to attach it.
Because the vehicles themselves have cameras.
Yes.
On the difference is on the body camera, you're able to place this one on you no matter where you go. On the in-car video system, if you point it in one direction, that's all you get.
Yeah,
What's
you're
ever-
limited there what
that's
you can
right.
see.
Obviously, if we're in a pursuit or chase or going to a house, you get that bird's eye view of what's in front of you. Transparency and everything like that.
Exactly.
Because, with everything that's going on in today's age. So.
And it has audio.
Yes, it does have
Okay.
audio.
Yeah.
So if we just estimated it at 1,600, I can't imagine they probably will honor the quote
Yes.
that you already have, but to be on the safe side, I think if we bump it up to 16, so that'd be a not to exceed of 32.
Are we still within his, the budget?
Yes, we are. That was the other question I had.
Okay. So we're talking 3,200.
32, yes, a not to exceed. Is there any other discussion or questions for the marshal?
Put the camera on, behave.
All right. I'd move that we approve the purchase of body cameras for the marshal's office from WatchGuard with the cost not to exceed $3,200.
2 units?
And that would be for 2 units.
2 units.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve the purchase of 2 body cameras with a price not to exceed $3,200. And we have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, item 8D. Discuss and or possible action on approving the lodging and meals expenses for Marshal Lopez to attend required Texas Police Chief leadership classes in June and July of 2020. I know from our TCOL audit that you do have very specific, these courses are most definitely required. It is part of his licensing with the state, so he does have to take these classes. One of them is in San Marcos, and the total cost for meals and lodging and incidentals for that particular trip, which is for 5 days, is estimated at $631.50, and that would be in July. In June would be an additional 5 days. Well, 4 days of training and 1 of travel, I think is how that's working out.
Yes.
Again, $631.50. It worked out well. That is the new Chief Development Program that is in Huntsville. So the total on that is about, let's say, 1,300. Round numbers. I like round numbers.
I have a question on the lodging. I mean, that's a San Marcos. Does he need to lodge there for those days? Or?
He may or may not. We did talk about that, but we decided to go ahead and approve it in case he does. Depending, I don't know how that's going to work, but it's a possibility he may make that trip.
Yeah, that's within 50 miles. That's something.
Well, if we...
What time do you have to be a class?
Yeah, that's...
Exactly.
Yeah. And the traffic.
And the traffic, so we went ahead and estimated it, assuming he's going to stay.
Yeah, okay.
And these are GSA prices.
I'm sorry?
These are through the government standard, is that what it's called, GSA?
Oh, GSA pricing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will entertain a motion for the classes for him, the expenses.
Okay, I'll move that we authorize Marshal Lopez to attend required Texas Police Chief leadership classes in June and July of 2020 for a cost of not to exceed $1,300.
Tom,
Is that you?
your foot is scraping your hair.
What's the matter?
You're making noise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With your left foot. Move your left foot up a little bit.
I thought it was a mouse chewing on
I
the...
was
No.
wondering, I thought it
He
was the cat.
scraping his chair with his...
I can't hear it. I forgot my hearing aids.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Rapino to approve expenses for Marshal Lopez to attend 2 different training classes, one in San Marcos and one in Huntsville in June and July of 2020 with a cost not to exceed $1,300. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
You almost didn't go. We have a second by Alderman Tremblay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? The motion carries.
You gotta make it sweat once in a while.
Yeah, that'd be followed by a pink slip. Okay, item 9, thank you, Marshall.
Did you want to proceed with what we talked about for the numbers for, or did you want
It's not on here.
Okay.
We have to get it, what we'll do is we will put that on the first meeting of the,
Does he want Marshall's one?
just his report, yeah.
Okay.
We have to have it on the agenda to talk about it. Okay, item number 9, Public Works. We have one item, discuss and or possible action on the purchase of a Kubota diesel tractor, attachments and trailer. Okay, so we have a revised quote, which it doesn't look like it was revised very much, but it's current, and the quote is valid till February 29th. So at our last meeting, we went over the intent of this purchase and the items that we wanted, and all we needed was firm pricing, and I will let Alderman Yelton talk about this because he's been the point person here, and he could talk about the financing options that they were able to provide.
Okay, on the financing, it's 0 down. Now, there's a discount listed up here, and I did ask that question. If you look up in the main description, it says financing 72 to 84 months, to a discount of $500 for taking that. The way they want to do the financing is either 72 or 84, but we have the option to pay off anytime with no penalties or any other thing, nothing down. If we want to do it in 36 months, that's totally up to us. They don't have a problem with that. The numbers that changed was on the trailer taxes and fees.
Right.
So it didn't go down much, but about half what it was.
So they're proposing that we enter into an agreement for a 72 or an 84-month
Yes.
lease
And-
or rent, a lease, yes,
Yeah, well, yeah, payment.
or
down.
finance.
Financing.
Yes.
And then, and he guaranteed there's no penalties for early payoff or
Okay.
otherwise. Because I did bring it to their attention that we want to do it in 3 years. He goes, oh, it's not a problem, whatever y'all want to do.
Okay.
And there will be, if we pay it off in 3 years, there's a refund of some amount, so that's determined on how we do that.
And I think we talked about doing it in 2 years, half this year and
2 or
half
3,
in the
yeah.
next, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the flexibility to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the total price, which includes, oh, we have a heavy equipment tax we have to pay, okay.
She said there's no way around that.
Yeah.
Right,
She's
yeah.
knows
right.
of,
Yeah. I looked at these numbers and went back and forth over them. The warranty, I see $1,000 or $1,100, this is for a 4-year warranty. But there's no, that's not figured into that final price.
No, they allow
So-
you that. They allow you that because of the program that we're taking and the package that we're taking. If we didn't take their package and you finance it, then that would come into play, but it doesn't come into play on our situation.
So we're getting it through a 4-year warranty, we're just not paying for it?
That's right. If they put their equipment out there on their finance program, that's the warranty and the insurance they provide.
They want to make sure their investment is paid, should they?
Exactly.
take it back. So the 28,109, that's.
Yes.
that's the price.
And we can take delivery, if it's approved, we can take delivery next Wednesday.
As soon as
As
next
soon
week.
as.
As soon as they put water in the tires.
They're gonna do that too, you bet.
So on the motion here, be sure to include who is authorized to execute that contract. Is there any other discussion or questions on this?
I don't believe so.
So I'll move to approve the purchase of the Kubota tractor for a cost not to exceed $28,200.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve the purchase of the Kubota diesel tractor and the attachments and trailer for a cost not to exceed $28,200. And who would you like to have
And
execute that?
authorize the city administrator to negotiate that contract and purchase.
Perfect.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And can I get a time?
Yes, it is 8:05.
Okay, we're going to adjourn at 8:05 PM. Thank you, everyone. And Mr. Ortiz, if you will wait just a moment, I will go over some things with you.